I have something to say. I got something to say, guys. No one else is going to say it. The Q50's been out for 10 years. And what you guys are saying is Infinity going to scrap it already or redesign it? So, guys, let's jump into the video. First thing, shout out to my whole Boost Emotion family. Much love. I really appreciate you guys for the support. But in this video, I want to talk about this freaking car. I want to be honest with y'all. I have two of them. Two. 2015 and 2018. Haven't had a Q50 in years. Yes, it's been some time. And I am patiently waiting to see what Infinity is going to do. So, I want to talk to you guys about that. For anyone who's new to this channel, I'm Boost Emotion. And I've been in the Q50, Q60 world since the inception of it. I love these vehicles. I've been in Infinity before the fact, and Nissans. But there is a reason why I am fed up with what Infinity is doing to this vehicle, right? Yes, we do know that modern sedans are dying. Yes, we know that. We know that. We know that most people are choosing to purchase crossovers in America. So it's not necessarily the fact that there's no demand for sedans like that, especially an entry level luxury sedan or coupe, right? That's why the Q60 is gone. But I really want more of a rant here, right? This car I remember seeing in the auto show over 10 years ago, and I love the fact that it had the center screens. It looked shiny, it was clean. I love the look of this car. But the fact that 10 years later, they still making this car is an actual disgrace, Infinity. It's a disgrace. Let me rant. Let me cook, right? Not only in America did you guys give us a 3.7, you gave us the hybrid, you gave us all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, one standard transmission. Then you chose to give us a twin-turbo motor, which had great potential, right? And you gave us some more colors, right? And you gave us cheap lease rates. You gave us a 2.0T model to be an entry-level model, and you scrapped that because you realized no one cared to buy it. You as well as buying a 3.0T for whatever reason with Mercedes. And then you scrapped the hybrid after a while, and then you were just left with the 3.0T for years. And now we're here in 2024, and this car is still being sold. What are you guys doing? Right? This is why competitors are continuing to beat Infinity, because it seems that they don't want to innovate anymore, right? They used to try to be the best leader at innovation or something new, right? And at some point, they just chose to not do that anymore. I remember we was dealing with the center dash in the crappy infotainment, right? And then somewhere in 2020, now you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto because pretty much they had a license agreement with whatever company until a certain year. So like they locked themselves into a place where they couldn't get out of, right? But now we're here in 2024. We have a car that is absolutely out of date. We have a motor that hasn't really been revised compared to, let's say, its competitor, a B58, right? Yes, BMW motor, which is in all their vehicles, and a quite reliable motor. And if you guys don't already know, I already have a B58 in my life. I have a 2021 740i with the B58. Yes. And they have revised these motors. They always try to make it better. That German engineering, even though it was crappy before, it's gotten a lot better. And other auto manufacturers have understood it and gotten better. And Infiniti, it seems like they just want to come out with the same motor. And then recently, now they came out with a new VR30 motor, but they put it in the larger QX80, which I remember talking about a year and a half ago, saying, what motor are they going to replace the V8 with? It can't be a VR30 because it doesn't make enough power. Its displacement is too small, and the turbos are too small. And then they said, let's just make a larger displacement motor with similar or larger turbos. And they did. And boom. You see how easy it was for them to just design and make a new motor or for their larger vehicles? They're doing that. And then some of the other vehicles, they still have VQs in. The VQ35 is in some of their vehicles. So the VR30 only ended up going into 3 vehicles. Q50, Q60, and a Nissan Z. That's it. So what are they going to choose to do with the next vehicles, right? They said that they were just thinking about designing the next Q50 to be a hybrid, right? And guess what? The market chooses what it wants to buy. And what they have realized is, I'm happy that they didn't go with the hybridization yet. Reason being is they're seeing that hybrids are needed, they are important, but the cost of a person buying it is going to go up substantially. The hybrid vehicle is going to be more expensive than the one with just a regular motor and gasoline. So that's an additional price that people have to pay, especially in this day age of inflation, the cost of batteries, cobalt, all this mining stuff, all that stuff makes these cars more expensive. And is it financially applicable to actually make something that's going to be more expensive and not a lot of people are going to buy it? So their best bet is to make, like, let's say hybrid QX55s, QX60s, QX70s, or whatever. Make those cars hybrid if they choose to make it, and then people would buy them, right? But like a Q50, no. They wanted to design a parallel hybrid, right? Let me quickly explain what that is, right? We're not talking about the Q60 Black S Project S. We're talking about a different system. Like Fisker makes a very similar system, but think about it like this. It has electric motors to the front of the vehicle, electric motors to the rear of the vehicle, and it still has a combustion engine. It's going to be a very small displacement combustion engine. It could be that small variable compression ratio motor. Let's say they put that in the front, and it's not connected to none of the driveline. So it's not connected to the front axle, the rear axles, no transmission. It is just there to run so that it can power the generators to store energy into the batteries and or discharge and drive the front and rear wheels, right? Now, this is a very not simple system to create because not a lot of manufacturers choose to do so because it's a complicated system. And if something fails, the person who owns the car is pretty much immobilized. They can't drive the vehicle, right? Compared to a combustion motor, if the combustion motor stops working, oh my God, what happened? Oh, injector pop. We can replace the injector and keep going away. That's why electric motors are super weird because it's easier just to make an electric motor and just give it and just charge it. But now when you're mixing with combustion, a parallel with hybridization, everything gets kind of confusing. How are you gonna be able to make sure everything communicates? So they don't want to take the risk in doing that. And how are you gonna package that into a sedan, right? So knowing that idea may never come to America now, what is left in the future for the next Infiniti Q50? 2025. As of right now, they should be scrapping this car. I should not hear we're coming out with a new 2025 Q50. No, 10 years. So what are they going to think about doing? Right now, they come out the QX80, and in the last 5 years, all they've been doing is bringing out trucks. And I have not seen a hybridization of any vehicle since then. The QX55, the QX60, and the QX80. I have not seen it. So they seem like they're choosing to still stick with dinosaur oil, and we have to wait and see what they're going to do. So now we got to sit there and think. Infiniti now, from what we can tell, if they are going to make out the next Q50, Q50s used to make a lot of money for them. And their sales are astronomically down compared from last year to this year. And they can't compete with Lexus on the volume of just selling vehicles. So but Infiniti Q50s were a good seller for them at one point because they had very affordable lease rates based on the market, and people used to go and like getting these cars. So now that the car is dated and nobody really wants to buy that car for what it looks like because it's still expensive for an old, outdated car, and nobody cares how new it is, they would have to technically design a new Q50 with dinosaur oil. That's it. For them to make a hybrid one, it would have to be like a mild hybrid ones, like where the car turns off and they have a small electric motor that just continues to have the electronic units running. Like a lot of auto manufacturers have this small little electronic motor just there so it can keep all electronics running when the car turns off at stoplights. That's it. So they'll probably do that. But then they would need to redesign the interior. We kind of see where they're going with the interior look. We kind of see what they're doing with the exterior look of like the QX70 and those other vehicles. So we know that they will change the look of the outside of the car. But what would actually drive now the next Q50 when it comes to motor? I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. They're probably going to leave the same VR30 in there. Because unless they drop a new motor, right? Unless they want to take the motor out of the QX80, which they're not going to do. They're not going to take the motor, the VR35 motor, and put that in the QX50, the next one. They're not going to do that. We just know it. They're not going to do that. Because as dope as that would sound, then that means now that they made the QX60 almost the QX50 almost a 500 horsepower vehicle, and it's entry level. They're not gonna do that. So, and they still the VR30 is still in production. So I would see them probably doing the same thing. Give you a whole new body of the QX60, redesign it, right? Redesign the interior and exterior, but it's gonna be just like the Nissan Z with the new Nissan Z, where they just pretty much took a 370Z and redesigned the outside. That you're gonna use the same chassis code, just redesign that exterior of the Q50. It's gonna still feel like a Q50, but it's just gonna look different on the inside and outside. And it's gonna have a VR30, and guess what's gonna have as a transmission? A 9-speed auto transmission. They're gonna make it rear-wheel drive, and they're gonna make it all-wheel drive. The same exact option. And it's going to have a different infotainment, very similar infotainment to the newer QX80. So that's the look. That is what your next Q50 is going to look like if they choose to bring it out. I don't know how to draw pictures to make how it look like, but just take how the QX80 and the last couple of trucks look like in the last 2-3 years. Something with the headlights and taillights that way. Look at their interiors, very similar interiors with, look at their center console, very similar. That's how the car is going to look. And then the transmission, 9-speed auto, and the motor, the same VR30 right now. And guess what? They're probably going to do the same exact thing. 300 horsepower premium or Lux and 400 horsepower, They may be a little nice to make 420, just for shits and giggles. But that's what it's going to be. Would I choose to purchase that newer car? I mean, if they put as it'll be a newer car, if they do nice cheap lease rates again for it, I might consider it because the VR30's been out for long enough, and it's gonna still be in production, right? And the car will look new, and a lot more people will jump in it because it's the newest, hottest thing out there. But we'll know the limits of the Q50 already because we know the motor. But at least we'll have a newer transmission, so that could actually change up the driving feel. I still think that the car is not gonna have more upgraded, sportier stuff going on it. I mean, if they do choose to still make a red sport model or the sportier model of it, like you see how they did with like the Nissan Z, where they have like the performance and sport model, have the sport model and performance model. So they might do something like that where they have like the Lux or the premium, and then they'll just have the top level as just a sport model. Maybe they'll take some of the stuff they learned from Nissan Z, limited slip for a differential or whatever, and a couple other better suspension components. They're still going to have the same Ekabono brakes because those have been out forever. They're not going to change up much. They're not, because they want to give you guys they want to produce the amount, they want to reduce the cost of how much it would cost for them to remake the car, right? Because if they have to make a new chassis, that's expensive. But if they take the same chassis and redo it, that's fine. Before I bring the video to end, I also sit there and think, if they are going to make this car, would they bring this car over the QX70? And I would say yes. The QX70 is a larger sedan, but they just can't compete with what's going on in the market right now. The Q70 can't compete with the E-Class right now. It can't compare with a lot of the other entry-level manufacturers right now. They just can't compete. So for them to bring out two sedans right now, I don't see them doing that. I think they're going to bring out another Q50. And on whatever level it would be or size it would be, and the same chassis code, and they give us the same motor, different transmission, and just a newer look inside and out. It saves them a lot of money. So that's what I think the next Q50 is going to look like, in my honest opinion. And honestly, they need to kill it off, man. They need to kill it off. Hopefully, behind the scenes, they figure this out. Now they know what to do, and hopefully in 2025, or they announce it soon in the next 2 to 3 months that they're coming out with a 2025 new Model Q60. Hopefully there's some news about that. All right? So outside of guys, you have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thank you guys for always. I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. It feels good to get back into the news and just having a little bit of conversation with y'all. Get it out there because it's good. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. You have a good day.